Caribbean Cargotecture. My wife and I moved to St. Croix in the United States Virgin Islands to build hurricane-resistant modular housing. Follow along as we build our first house, the Tidy, a 640 square foot double container house. Be sure to follow us on Instagram to see the build in our adventures in American paradise. Welcome back to episode 2 of Caribbean Cargotecture. In this episode, I'll get a water delivery, I'll get my forms delivered, I will get the cistern walls all formed up, and I will get those poured as well. So stay tuned for progress. Alright, so one problem we had last time when we were pouring concrete was a lack of water. I'm going to change that. I've got a water buffalo. I'm sitting in Home Depot right now getting the rest of the supplies. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up today so that we can get started on the cistern walls and lid. As I mentioned before, I was using my Site Work Guys bender. Obviously can't borrow it forever, so I bought my own. It's working great. Bending all the bar for all these cistern walls, and I'm about 40 minutes away from a water delivery, so I won't be without water ever again, which is great. Here we are getting our 400-gallon water delivery. Funny story, it took us 3.5 hours over 2 days to get this water buffalo unstuck from the one it was stuck in. Form guys showed up for form delivery and immediately did some free tree trimming with the knuckle of the crane. I'm actually very thankful that they had the crane on the back of the truck, because each 24 by 8 foot form is actually 90, maybe 100 pounds each, so I'm just thankful we could unload the truck easily. I opted to rent these steel forms instead of buying plywood because it was about half the price. These forms are screwed down into the concrete base and are held together with steel pins, and they also use brackets with double 2x4 whalers to hold everything together. Halfway done with the cistern wall forms. Get the other half done tomorrow. They were 2.5 hours late today, which kind of killed us, but not fatal. So get the rest done tomorrow, start the bar the following day. Here we are finishing the installation of the interior cistern wall forms. These forms must go up, and then I can tie to the J-bars that are embedded into the cistern base with all my bar work. After that, all the exterior wall forms, but all these wall forms must be lubricated so the concrete does not stick to them. Starting the bar work for the cistern walls. So this bar work is number 5 bar on 8-inch center grid work. Extremely strong design, probably overbuilt, but hey, always better to go safe than sorry. You can see the completed bar work, but now the exterior forms are going on. These go on the exact same way as the inside. Pins, whalers, and all Tapcom down to the cistern base. Every morning before work, first thing I do, water my little banana palm. Cutting it a little close, got concrete coming in an hour, got all the whalers on, working on the overflows for the inside here. Just going around Tapcomming all the forms down, but looks like we're going to make it. We'll be in good shape. Cistern wall pour day. I have heavy materials out on site again, and it's actually the same driver who actually ended up in the hole with me last time. Still very thankful for. This pour was a literal nightmare. everything is done right. I've got all my whalers attached, all my pins in, and everything is Tapcom to the ground. However, during this pour, the welds blew on one of my forms, which led to catastrophic failure of pins, whalers, and Tapcoms, which in turn led to 4 yards of concrete being washed into my cistern base, trapping the forms inside. Little did I know at this point it would set me back thousands of dollars in a few weeks. Once the form blew and the concrete came in the cistern base, it was basically all we could do. Couldn't send anybody in there. It was far too dangerous in case of further failure of the forms. So we were basically stuck with it, and we actually used it to our advantage on the second pour for the cistern walls. Looking back, this is the exact point of failure. You see me going over the wall and the driver going over the wall as well. We were very stunned, couldn't believe it. The driver told me he had never seen a steel form break in his entire life. Well, we have to pause here. Mid-pour, we were almost there. The forms actually broke on us, and the 2x4 whalers. So my cistern is going to be about maybe 50 gallons less now, and I have to have another pour and fix these forms. But even the concrete driver said he's never seen this in his life. This is the exact place of where the steel form failed. This little slit right here cost me $1,200 in concrete alone. And not to mention weeks of jackhammering out between 4 and 12 inches of concrete that entered the cistern base.
Let's see where the form buckled.
Here's an interior shot of exactly where the form broke. If you notice, this is a hinged interior corner, which helped contribute to the failure of multiple redundant systems. Alright, so obviously that's where the form broke down there. We are locked in with this concrete here that we got to get out pretty much as soon as possible. But everything is braced up. This side's way higher with concrete, obviously, because it blew out on that side. But we are ready basically for another pour on Monday. We put longer whalers on the other side. Everything's all tied in. The concrete down here will actually help us. So, ready for another pour on Monday. Cistern wall pour, take 2. As always, I have heavy materials on the job. They're the most reliable concrete company I can find on St. Croix. This pour went flawless. The concrete that's locking our forms in actually really helped us with any blowout potential. There's no potential for failure here, so everything went very well. Besides losing thousands of dollars of concrete, one of the worst ramifications of the form failing was the physical labor of getting the forms free from the 4 to 12 inches of concrete that rushed into the cistern base. We will spend the next 2 weeks doing this with the demo hammer and even a larger demo hammer, getting the forms out. This was honestly one of the hardest 2 weeks of my life, with some of the most intense physical labor in the worst conditions I could ever imagine. Jackhammering for 2 weeks inside of a cistern in late July, early August was the last of my expectations, but it proved to be one of the hardest things I've ever done in my entire life. However, we are free and clear of forms now, and we are ready to move on. But man, I will never forget working inside of a concrete tomb in the middle of summer in the Caribbean, jackhammering 8 to 10 hours a day. It took 2 weeks to jackhammer all the forms out of here, but the cistern walls are now complete. We can finally move on to backfilling the cistern and actually getting the footings dug here.